All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really sharp analysis from Dawn newspaper, and it makes this fascinating argument that the Trump administration's, very disruptive foreign policy, well, it's surprisingly handed Pakistan a huge geopolitical opportunity. But, and this is a big but, it also created a challenge that could literally define its future. So let's just jump right into the central puzzle here. I mean, we all remember how turbulent that era's foreign policy was, right? So, how on earth could Pakistan have possibly benefited from all that chaos? Well, according to this analysis, the answer isn't really about what was happening in Washington. It's about how all that disruption completely changed the power dynamics right in Pakistan's own backyard. And the analysis doesn't beat around the bush. It puts this incredibly bold claim right up front. Think about it. While pretty much every other country was scrambling to figure out this new U.S. approach, the argument here is that Pakistan, they found a way to use the chaos to their advantage. They created a powerful new opening for themselves. Okay, so how did this actually happen? To get it, we need to rewind a bit. Let's take a look at where Pakistan was before all of this started. Before this period, Pakistan was really feeling the heat. It was kind of diplomatically isolated, and it was struggling, big time, to protect its own strategic and economic interests. And let's be honest, it's a really tough neighborhood. But then, everything shifted. You get this public acknowledgement from President Trump, actually praising Pakistan's contributions, and it changed the whole atmosphere almost overnight. And look, this wasn't just empty words. This was real. It gave Pakistan brand new diplomatic momentum, a really valuable card to play on the world stage. So you've got this new diplomatic capital. What do you do with it? Well, Pakistan didn't just let it sit there. Nope. They invested it. They used it to forge a powerful new alliance that really started to reshape security in the region. And here's the result. You can see a new defense bloc starting to form, with Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey right at its core. But it didn't stop there. This alliance started extending to partner states all across the region. We're talking from Azerbaijan all the way down to Sudan. This was a major new strategic alignment taking shape. And let me be clear, this wasn't just symbolic handshakes and photo ops. We are talking about defense deals worth billions, with a B, of dollars, spread out over multiple years. That kind of money, it signals a really deep, long-term commitment. It has massive economic and military implications for every single country involved. Now here's the really crucial part. This new alliance wasn't just happening in a vacuum. The analysis suggests it had, let's say, the quiet approval of the Trump administration. And what that did was position Pakistan as a key U.S.-aligned partner in West Asia. A useful counterweight on tricky issues like Iran. But, and there's always a but, isn't there? This new alignment wasn't just a simple win. It created a huge strategic challenge. It basically forced Pakistan to walk one of the most difficult diplomatic tightropes you can imagine, balancing East against West. And this slide lays out Pakistan's core dilemma perfectly. It's a high-stakes balancing act. On one side, you've got all these gains, new diplomatic capital, a major defense role with Western partners. Awesome. But on the other side of that tightrope, every single step you take in that direction risks upsetting the balance with your most important strategic partner, China. To really get just how precarious this whole situation is, the analysis does something really smart. It contrasts Pakistan's strategy with its neighbor and rival, India, because India played its cards very, very differently. And you can see the difference right here. While Pakistan basically went all in on this one strategic bloc, India kind of played the field. New Delhi went for what the analysis calls alternative engagement, which is a fancy way of saying they strengthened ties with everyone, the EU, Russia, and China. And the result? Well, India kept its options wide open. It maintained its flexibility, and it didn't get locked into any single camp. So you gotta ask, why the different strategies? Well, the analysis points to a pretty harsh reality. Pakistan is what you'd call a medium-scale state, and it's held back by a weaker economy and internal security problems. All that means its strategic choices are just way more limited. It simply doesn't have the economic and political cushion that a bigger power like India has to play multiple sides at once. And all of this brings us to the future. With these new alliances now in place, the analysis argues that Pakistan's biggest, most critical test, it's actually going to come after the Trump administration is gone. That's when we'll see how durable this new strategy really is. And the path forward? It's basically a diplomatic minefield. Pakistan has to somehow pull off three things all at the same time. One, it has to restore trust with Beijing. Two, it has to avoid becoming just a pawn for its new partners on really sensitive issues like Iran. And three, it has to start cultivating brand new options so it's not totally dependent on any single power. And that, right there, is the ultimate risk. I mean, the short-term gains are obvious. More visibility, more influence. But the long-term danger, the real danger, is that Pakistan's own voice gets trapped. If it doesn't develop other strategic options, its freedom to make its own foreign policy decisions could shrink dramatically. So, at the end of the day, that leaves us with the huge question posed by this entire analysis. Was this a brilliant masterstroke of a geopolitical move that secures Pakistan's relevance for the next decade? Or was it a massive, high-stakes gamble that trades long-term flexibility for short-term gains? Honestly, the answer to that question is going to define the strategic landscape of South and West Asia for years to come.